Hello, everyone, and welcome to Say Hey podcast. It's where we delve into the minds of geniuses. And today we have a very special genius with us, all the way from Dubbo, New South Wales. And if you don't know where Dubbo is, it's just, I think, up north of Sydney. But anyway, my name is Hassan Yunus.
And my name is Sarifa Alonto Yunis. Gary Phipps is a speaker, coach, and author. She shows people how to have better conversation with themselves and others, so we can make an even bigger difference in our world. She always wants to have the significant shift in our homes, workplaces, and communities in the way we connect, communicate, and collaborate to make a better world. She influences and invests in others and want to increase their impact and themselves. She wants you to show to the community striving, confident, and making a bigger difference. The mission is simple: to inspire a more connected, compassionate, and collaborative world. Through the power of authentic connection and strengthening our mental fitness, we really can build even better businesses, communities, and nations together, according to Carrie Phipps. Welcome to our Say Hey podcast, Carrie Phipps from New South Wales. Right? Am I right? You're from New South Wales?
Yes.
I'm just like,
Thank you, Sarifa. Yes. So Dubbo is halfway between Melbourne and Brisbane. So a lot of Melbourneites actually do the very, very long drive, about 22 hours, through Dubbo up to Brisbane when it starts getting cold down there. And if you do, please stop in and have a coffee with me. But right now I'm actually in Sydney. I just had my first flight in 11 months, and it's a 1-hour flight from Dubbo to Sydney. So I'm really thrilled to be here, so excited to be connecting with you. And it was amazing to connect with you face to face in Melbourne just recently. So, it's incredible when you go from knowing someone online, a few Facebook messages every now and then, seeing different events and going, hey, looks like you're doing great things, to, oh, hi, I'm in Melbourne. If you happen to be nearby this cafe, pop in. And you both did. It was extraordinary.
I think you have the most disruptive, unexpected but disruptive title of a book, and obviously your message, right? I mean, we all grew up, all of us, I think the entire global nation, we grew up with parents telling us, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. But you went and you came up with this disruptive idea and methodology and way of life that do talk to strangers, because it will benefit you, because you get to know people and you get to know your friends that you didn't know you had, right? So it's just amazing.
Yeah, thank you. No, when you say that, like, everybody's parents said don't talk to strangers, I just have to laugh and say, well, my dad must have been a bit of a rogue, because my parents never taught me that. And I remember one day presenting, and my mum was sitting at the back of the room, and I said, I didn't have the same kind of upbringing as everybody else. Parents were like saying to their kids, don't talk to strangers. And my parents never did that. But what they did, and they didn't say, do talk to strangers, but they modeled connection, welcoming, just being kind to people. And because I grew up in the country, if you see somebody on the side of the road, maybe they've just hit a kangaroo, maybe their car has stopped working, and you stop and help. So it was a very natural thing to grow up, not for myself, putting myself out there and going and talking to strangers. So when people say that, I've got this great disruptive idea, I think it's that my dad probably disrupted my comfort zone, because I would be quite shy, and he would just like thump his hand on my shoulder and say, come and meet, so-and-so. And, or he'd say, meet number one daughter. And I was, very privileged to be number one daughter, because I'm actually the only daughter. I have an older brother and a younger brother. And yeah, Dad always pushed us out of our comfort zone in varying ways, but it's the connecting with people that's probably the most profound thing. Although pushing me out of the comfort zone to climb things and jump off things and abseil and all kinds of physical challenges, obstacle courses, before Tough Mudder was a thing. Dad had us doing obstacle courses on the farm, and we created our own. And I know the the sense of win when you accomplish something, when you do something that's really hard, and then you go, oh my gosh, I did it. That's amazing. And, you know, we have that sense of accomplishment with anything, I think, that scares us. So I think it's actually really useful to pay attention to what makes us nervous, what makes us afraid, or what feels awkward, and assess that and go, what if I actually have a go at that? Because a lot of our fears are actually not well-founded, and they can actually be the key to growth. So I have to really acknowledge my parents for giving me all of those experiences. But it was actually, so this is the first Do Talk to Strangers book. And throughout the book, there's some beautiful artwork by David Hooper from Port Hedland. So I first met him at my second book launch. He's drawn like a mother and child looking at ducks. You can see that. So he asked me to speak to their community in Port Hedland when I came back, and I was writing this book, but at the time I had a much less disruptive title, and it was Why It's Great to Talk to Strangers, because I could see that it's great to talk to strangers, and people had been asking me to write this book because they would say, but how do you meet these people, Kerry? And I would share stories of strangers that I'd met. Anyway, so I'm sharing about connecting and looking out to welcome people and lots of different elements of talking to strangers. And David was sitting there in the front row, and he was drawing a potential book cover. And he said to me, how attached to the title are you? And I said, well, I've just done a series of videos on why it's great to talk to strangers, but tell me what you had in mind. And he showed me this drawing, and he'd written don't, and then crossed out the NT. And put a big red circle around do. And so I asked Nathan, my designer, to create that. And then I tested it in the street, most times with strangers. Just hi, excuse me. Do you mind just having a look at this picture and tell me what you think? And they would look at it and say, oh, don't talk to strangers. They couldn't see that it was crossed out. Do was really big. And even this, you can see how clear that is. Do talk to strangers.
That's right, exactly.
People still pick this book up and say, oh, don't talk to strangers. How to connect with anyone, anywhere. And then they look back at the title and go, oh, do. Yes, do, please do. And somebody else said to me, you can write a sequel and call it Please Talk to Strangers. And, you know, I'm kind of working on that, because I'm working on another one called How to Talk to Strangers to Decrease Anxiety, to Build Confidence, and make a bigger difference in the world. And that was kind of spurred by, you know, a lot of conversations with people like you, where, you know, we had dinner in Melbourne recently, and we talked about love and compassion and kindness just in the everyday, and the small ways that we can make a really big difference. And so all of those kind of stories inspired me. And I have to keep talking about this, because everywhere I go, people are talking about this, and people are you know, very afraid at the moment. And just a couple of days ago, I was walking across the river with my husband, and it's just this really lovely spot in the middle of town. And so we're standing there, and we took some photos of the river. So our cameras were not pointed anywhere near the walkway across the river. But a guy walked past with a dog, and of course the dog's like, oh, another human, and just rushes over, and he pulled the dog back, and I just said, hi. And then he said, you better not be filming me.
Wow.
Oh, just appreciating the river. And he said, well, look suspicious. And I was just really shocked and saddened and inspired all at the same time, if that makes sense. Because I just thought, wow, what an opportunity to share the joy of, like, what a beautiful day. Dog, you know, I'm ready to say hi, and he's snapping at me because he's worried that he's being filmed, just because he saw a camera in our hand, not even a phone, you know. But we don't know what people are doing with their phones. And I just find, if we just assume the best of others, and that is just this base note that changes everything. You know, if we go around the world suspicious of everybody, then we see trouble everywhere we look.
That's right.
That's so true. That's
yeah.
So what happened when he said that? When he said, you know, you better not be filming me, and what happened after that?
Yeah, and then he said, you know, look suspicious, and he kept walking, and I said, happy to show you my photo of the river. And he just kept going. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. And then I said to Lyndon, I need to finish this book.
Yes, yes, yes. It's
Yeah.
just amazing how people, as you said, that when you have that negative thought or a fixed mindset,
Yeah.
regardless whatever explanation you give, there is no amount of explanation could convince some people who have that very fixed mindset, as you said, that
Yeah.
oh, I'm just
Yeah.
picturing the best.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even believe. So that would be really a very interesting journey for other to read how, because that's an experience for you to see how would you help, the steps to help strangers or other people to have that growth mindset where
Yeah.
take things positive, so they will attract all the positive things on this earth. As you said, like if people are like that, they will be attracting a lot of negative, and then what kind of world we're gonna have? We will be living
Yes.
in an anxiety world that everyone is so suspicious about other, or we wanted a harmonious world where we attract positivity and we look at everything, the good thing, the good side of it or positive side of it, so we can attract good people, good vibes, positive energy, that we can all move forward and live harmoniously.